Hello and welcome to Stitching Journal Club episode 9. I'm Beatrice and this is where I talk about cross stitch and any sciencey goodness I find during the week. Today's video is going up a day late because I was way too tired to film yesterday. Usually I do these Mondays after work, after dinner, but yesterday was a long day at work and when I got home I was way too tired. I barely was able to feed myself before I was just vegging out. So this one is going up on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. Also, my upstairs neighbors yesterday were being extra stumpy for some reason, so I was way too irritated as well to film. So hopefully they'll keep it to a minimum today and you won't hear too many stomps while I do this. I'll try to get it done quickly. So yeah, let's just get into it. On a happy note though, I stitched every day last week. Let's go to the right page. See? Every day. I stitch most days, but some days, I just am too tired or am doing something else and don't get around to it. So I don't always stitch every single day, but I was excited to find that I had a little streak going. I've already broken it because, as I said yesterday, I was way too tired and could barely hold a needle. So, that's just a little happy thing that happened. So, into my stitching. I worked on 3 projects that I'm going to show. The first is Sleepy Hollow Sampler from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I showed this last time. And so after I showed it, I stitched a little bit more on his pumpkin face, some of the horse's mane, and a little bit of that house before moving on. This one stitches up pretty quickly. Even though there's a lot to it, it's easy stitching, so it won't take too long to finish. So there is Sleepy Hollow Sampler from Frosted Pumpkin. Next is I did more on periodic table. I don't quite remember where I was last time I showed you, but I got scandium and yttrium, calcium and potassium done. This is gonna look so good. I cannot wait for it to be done. There are a lot of periodic sampler cross stitches out there. And I probably looked at them all before choosing this one, and I made the right choice. This is going to be so good. Simple, I like the font. It's just going to be beautiful. This is on 36 count even weave, 2/2, and it gets kind of hard sometimes in the middle. It gets kind of thick, but I am gonna keep on with it because I really like the tapestry feel. And so I decided to go with a tapestry sort of feel for it. And it's turning out nicely. While I was stitching this week, I remembered someone showed me the Elemental Haiku website where somebody took the periodic table and all of the elements and wrote little haikus for every element. So I'm gonna read you one. Where did it go? Okay, I'm going to read you magnesium. It says, "Child of aging stars, however brightly you burn, they will not return." Well, the sneezing dog over there sort of ruins the profoundness of that, but these are fun. Every time I show this, I'm gonna read you one of the ones I stitched on. I'll do that. Okay, moving on. So the third project I'm going to show is this one. Sir Frogworth Jones is back. I finished his top hat and moved down into his face. Right here, I thought that these were like part of his little glasses, but that's his little mustache, and I think it's hilarious. So yeah. That's stitching up pretty quickly though. I think this won't take too much work to get done. I just need to focus on it. yeah, so what's he been up to? As you may or may not remember, Sir Frogworth Jones III, who's neither a sir nor third, he's a paranormal investigator, and his latest case has been investigating strange lights and sounds around Sassafras Lake. What's going on? Is it the Fae coming back and causing mischief? Is it the annual eel mating season? Or is it just, normal youthful high spirits? Sir Frogworth is on the case, and he will find out. So that's all the stitching I have. I wanted to talk about tips and tricks that have helped me become a better stitcher. So I don't necessarily consider me a novice stitcher anymore, but I do consider myself a relatively new stitcher. As I said before, I started in 2019, which wasn't that long ago, even though it feels like both yesterday and forever ago. So some of the tricks that I have found to help me out, which I've talked about this one quite a bit, is two-handed stitching. So I won't belabor the point, except that I am a much faster stitcher this way, and I like the way my stitches lay better stitching with two hands versus the sewing method, or even sticking and poking back and forth. So yeah, if you haven't tried it, you should try it and see how you like it. Another thing that has helped me become a better stitcher, I think, is starting and stopping my stitches from the front rather than flipping my stitching to the back to start and stop each thread. I use a mixture of pin stitch and a modified version of like a waist away knot to start, and to end my stitches, for the most part, I'll just run my thread underneath the front instead of the back. And that has helped me be faster, mostly just because I'm not flipping back and forth all the time, as well as I just like the way it lies that way. And then my third trick is actually my most recent one that I have figured out. And just to say, I'm a self-taught stitcher. I haven't taken any classes or anything, just some Googling, YouTube videos and blogs I found, and trial and error. And this is one I found through trial and error. It would be better if I had an example here. Let me use some floss, some dental floss to cite. So normally, I would take I used to take a length of thread, double it over. I would take a length of thread, thread my needle on one end, double over, have my needle in the loop here so that it doesn't fall over, and start and stop my threads the way I just talked about. What I do now is I will, instead of doubling it over, I'll just cut two threads and have them parallel. Hold my needle normally. There's not a loop, so I have a long tail, and stitch that way. And I found that using this method, my stitches lay just a little bit neater, and they twist up just a little bit less. And it's significant enough that I have definitely noticed on the way my stitches look, especially on 32 count fabric. Like Sir Frogworth here, he's on 32 count fabric, and well, you probably can't see it in the camera, but when I started at the top, there are a couple of these that are just a little bit twisted. They don't lay quite right. And then his face here, all of these look great. Look, all of these are nice and flat. They just look nice. So yeah, if you haven't tried it, try it. If this is old hat to you, just ignore me. So yeah. And the last trick is, I don't have an example really, but I'll just talk about it, is I don't outline anymore. I used to try when I had patterns that had a nice like outline, I would try to outline it, and I would always mess up. If you remember back to my scarab beetle, has a nice black outline. I tried outlining it, had to frog it twice, because my brain, I just cannot handle outlining things. Actually, So in periodic table here, it's a nice black outline and it's all squares. So you think you can't mess that up, but I did. So if you see how after calcium, you go down to scandium here, and you make these boxes, but I don't know what happened. Instead of going straight across the scandium, I went down to yttrium here. I can mess up an outline on simple squares, so I just don't anymore. So I fixed it and did the stuff. So now I'm just gonna go square by square because it's embarrassing. I don't outline anymore. Oh man. So what tips and tricks have you learned? Are any of these helpful? Tell me what tricks you have because I would like to learn and I would like to be a better stitcher. So yeah, that is all I have. I think today's is going to be a short video, but we'll just jump right into Journal Club. Today's Journal Club is about wolves because they are clearly one of my favorite animals. In a study just published in the journal Science, researchers describe how the frequency of coat color is possibly influenced by the occurrence of a disease. So in North America, wolves are usually gray, but the black coat color isn't exactly uncommon. The researchers noticed that in some places, black coat color occurs more frequently than usual, and they set out to investigate a possibility of why that might be. Generally, black-coated wolves have a lower fitness, meaning they have fewer babies or they don't survive to adulthood to reproduce. So it's lower in general than in gray-coated wolves, but it's still there. So there must be a reason why it hasn't died out completely. The inheritance of coat color is classically Mendelian, which means it's controlled by dominant and recessive genes. If you remember back to high school biology, like the Punnett squares, that's basically how it's coded for in the genome. That gene locus also, however, codes for a protein that is important in the immune system, specifically for fighting against microorganisms. This led the researchers to hypothesize that the frequency of the black coat color may correlate with the incidence of a certain disease in the environment. They are focusing on distemper, which if you have dogs, you know you have to vaccinate your dog against distemper, but it affects all mammals. They compared the incidence of distemper to the number of black wolves in several populations in North America, and indeed they found a positive correlation. They also then tested blood samples and found that the black-coated wolves were more likely to have markers for distemper, meaning that they were more likely to survive an infection and live on, to later on to have their blood sampled by researchers. These results indicate that there is something that goes along with having black fur, because of course fur doesn't combat a virus, if only. But something that comes along with having black fur confers some sort of advantage to survival in areas with a high incidence of distemper. This advantage isn't necessary in places that don't have the disease, so the effect goes away elsewhere. So yeah, that was a very interesting study, and if you want to give it a read, I will link it down below. Today's recommendation is a TV show on Acorn TV called Recipes for Love and Murder. It is a cozy mystery set in a small town in South Africa, and it follows the protagonist who is a newspaper columnist, and she writes recipes for her newspaper column. The whole series is about finding a killer, obviously, but I think it's really charming and super adorable. I have some quibbles with the pacing and with some of the tonal shifts, but I really think it finds its footing towards the end of the season, and I hope that they do another one. So yeah, if you don't have Acorn TV, you can do a 7-day free trial. Not sponsored, but that's how I watched it. I decided to keep my subscription because they have another show on there that used to be on Hulu, but then they took some of the seasons away off of Hulu, and I'm trying to catch up on the rest of the season. Anyway, I will let you go. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you again in the next video.